All right. Welcome to all of those who are in attendance. You're part of a grand experiment this morning. This is the first time we have done the club leadership training by a webinar, an active webinar, a Zoom meeting, if you like. It's going to be an interesting experiment, and like all experiments, there'll be pluses and minuses, and we will learn as we go along. Rick Eisted is on the call as a co-host. He is monitoring the presentation and attendees and all of that, and will be there to help as we go along. Let me start by welcoming you all and thanking you all for taking a Saturday morning to participate in this training. The first thing is that all of these slides and the agendas will come out as part of our package to everyone who attends. So although you may certainly take notes and there'll be questions as we go along, you'll get a copy of everything you see today. For the attendees, you will be muted as we go along, just to avoid the distractions. We're going to actually mute the presenters other than the one who is presenting, so that we can kind of keep track of both timing and minimize the distractions. On your screen, depending on what device you're using, either at the top or at the bottom along the bar, there is a Q&A button. It is that Q&A button that we need you to use, or that Q&A feature that we need you to use to make comments or ask questions. After each presenter, we hope to have at least 5 minutes for questions and answers. So please, if you have a question about a certain segment, type it out. Dan Kammerer is also in the background. In case my computer fails, he's the go-to guy. And he will be monitoring the questions and answers, and we'll paraphrase those back to the presenter, and we'll get that out to you. And the webinar is going to be recorded. So if you miss something or want to hear something again, or can't believe something you've heard, it'll be recorded.
They'd like to know who you are and where you're from.
Oh, I'm just the magic guy in the middle. My name's Dave Panabaker. I'm actually in Medicine Hat. I'm the assistant governor for the 3 local Medicine Hat clubs. This is the end of my 4th year as an AG, and I've enjoyed the role immensely, but this is probably one of the last things I'm going to be doing. Because this workshop, it was originally designed as a face-to-face, it's going to be a little different today, but we still want you to take these outcomes out of today's session. Joint learning like this is about energizing and motivating you. As some of you take on leadership reins within your club, some of you are simply learning about Rotary and various aspects. And of course, every club is different. Every club has different needs and culture and all of those sort of things. And so there certainly are a number of ways you can take the learnings from today and help build your club. One of the things that I know Martin is going to speak about at some length is the issue of goal setting and planning, strategic planning, and then actioning some of that strategic planning. I think you'll find as he goes through his session and as the morning goes on, that you will enjoy that process, and that process is incredibly valuable. This will help you broaden your leadership network. It's always a little bit easier when you're face-to-face and can meet people, but we'll see how this goes. There are lots of resources and people out there to help you. The first one I don't believe she's on the call today, is Charlene at the district office. The first person you should phone if you have a real question about something is Charlene, because she knows just about everything. Here's the agenda for this morning. I'm doing the introductory remarks and any questions at the beginning. We have two sessions at 8:40 and 9:15, and then we have scheduled in a break at 9:50 for coffee, tea, water, washroom, whatever is you're most in need of. And then we'll do a number of sessions then after the break. And the plan is, based on staying within the timelines, that we adjourn at 11:30. Are there any questions related to today or that startup?
Nothing else has been posted right now, Dave.
Nothing else? Okay, we're
No.
good. All right. I'm going to introduce Mary Turner. Mary is our district governor-elect. She joined the Rotary Club of Olds in November of 2008 and has had virtually every position in the Rotary Club of Olds, and quite a wide experience within both a membership, the foundation, and club operations. She's married with 2 children and has 1 daughter-in-law, and she loves to ski and hike. Well, hiking is what you do now. Okay, so take it away, Mary.
Thanks very much, Dave, and welcome to our experiment, everyone. It's great to see everyone online, and our first inaugural webinar of this magnitude. So great to have you all on board with us today. As Dave mentioned, I'm a past president of the Rotary Club of Olds, a former AG, and now you're a district governor in waiting. And I think when I look at my calendar, we've got 39 days and counting, so it's coming close. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be here today and to invite you to this new opportunity with your clubs. Next slide, please, Steve. Terrific. So this is your year, and it's truly a privilege and an honor to be in a leadership role. This lovely insignia that this new club president is wearing is something that I was given after I attended the international conference in Sydney, Australia. It's become part of our club culture in Olds, and every president in Olds gets to wear this lovely regalia at our passing of the gavel. Next slide, please, Dave. All right, this is your year, and it's beginning today. When you think about your club, is there something that you want to create? Perhaps a legacy? Are you willing to try new things that may feel odd and may not work, but maybe they would be the breath of fresh air that you've been hoping for? There's no better time than the present to seize the day and take on leadership. Each of us has our own style and our own attributes, and being aware of your style is the key. Next slide, Dave. All right, so every club has a core leadership team, and this team is made up of these individuals, as you see: past president, president-elect, sergeant-at-arms, treasurer, secretary. The big key is knowing yourself and knowing your board members, and know the positions that are needed. Your club bylaws will certainly help you. Now is the time to find your club bylaws. If you don't know where they are, try asking your secretary first, and hopefully they'll be able to help you. Take a look at them, read them, see if they're correct, see if they're accurate, see if you're following them as they are written. And if you have new people with new roles, it's a good idea to get them to take some courses at the Rotary Learning Center. Next slide, please. For the incoming presidents that are on the call today, it is your role to oversee the appointment of your board and your committee chairs as per your club bylaws. Now, again, take a look at those bylaws, and if they don't reflect what you're currently doing in your club, now's the time to update them, take them to your AGM and make sure that they're officially recording what you are doing as a club. Establish a budget for next year. Prepare your club's leadership team and make sure that everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. Again, there's lots of online learning, and we'll talk about that later this morning as to how you can get some more advice and skills in order to take on these roles. Set goals for your club, and again, we'll talk about this a little later this morning. And then identify the kind of support that you may need from district. Your AG, that's your assistant governor. Every club has an assigned assistant governor, and if you don't know who that person is, I would suggest that you give Charlene a call. She can certainly tell you who your AG is, or talk to your club president, because they will know. Committee chairs and members of our district team are all available and ready for you to help in your upcoming year. So lots of support. Next slide, Dave. Volunteers. Volunteers need to feel like they're making a contribution, and it's very important that you choose the right person for the role that you have. It's critical that you find the right fit and make sure that that's the person with the skills, attributes, and resources that will do the job for you. I find that if you don't have the right fit, then often you'll end up with someone who's not very excited about the role they're in, and they may not stay in that capacity for a very long period of time. So making sure that you have the right person to do the job is absolutely critical. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this upcoming year. Many of you have dreams or goals for your next year. Perhaps it's taking on a new project that you always wanted to do. Perhaps it's finishing something that's been carried over from work that's been done this Rotary year. It's up to you to figure out how to engage and empower others to help this happen and to work through the next goal and the next year ahead. The Learning Center, again, is a really great place to get ideas. Our district has recently created a feature on our website. It's called the People of Action, and the People of Action website is a resource where there's lots of great sharing happening about clubs that are doing various projects right now, particularly during the COVID-19 challenges. So I would encourage you to take a look at that and see how that can help you with some of our challenges right now. For those of you who have your cell phone nearby, I'd like you to take your cell phone if it's nearby, and otherwise a pen and a piece of paper, and I'd like you to write down this person's name. And this person is the lady at the Calvary Foundation. Her name is Janine Webb, Janeen Webb, W-E-B-B. Her phone number, 403-802-7306. She can also be found by emailing the Calgary Foundation at jwebb@calgaryfoundation.org. Now, here's the story that goes behind this person's contact information. Being from a rural club in Olds, I know that many times we are faced with opportunities for donations and are unable to issue tax receipts. There's only 7 clubs in our district that are able to issue tax receipts. And I found that as quite a challenge for many of us who are not in that situation. However, Janine Webb at the Calgary Foundation has provided all clubs in our district with the opportunity to issue tax receipts for our fundraising efforts. Now, there are caveats with that, and Janine would be the best person to talk to for your situation. But let's just pretend for a moment that you have a golf tournament, and in that golf tournament, a portion of the funds will be used to purchase the golf fees, and a portion of the money would be used towards a fundraiser. Let's give the situation in Olds a try, just for purposes of demonstration. In Olds, we've taken on a really big job. We're building an athletic park outside of our community, $500,000 project over 5 years. So in order for us to raise this money, we're going to be doing a lot of fundraisers. Let's just say that we have a virtual golf tournament this spring. And at our virtual golf tournament, a portion of the fees will be paid towards the Olds Golf Course to take care of the golf fees, and a portion of the money will go directly to our project. In this case, a check would be written to the Calvary Foundation, who in turn would issue a tax receipt to the person who wrote the check, and that check would go directly to the town of Olds, to the athletic park fundraiser. In this situation, you know, we could have a golf tournament that's not restricted by the golf course itself. We could have as many teams in the tournament as possible, and the limit of the fundraiser for each individual is completely unrestricted. You could give $500 to the golf tournament and have a tax receipt for $450 in this particular case. So to all clubs across the district, I certainly hope that you will investigate this opportunity, particularly now when we are looking at many of our fundraisers being canceled or postponed indefinitely. Here's a great way to still raise funds, to be able to issue tax receipts for those CRA qualified recipients, and to still get to work with our Rotary service. So again, I would strongly encourage all of you to give Janine Webb at the Calgary Foundation a call. She's happy to work with each club individually to open a flow-through fund for your particular club. Again, there are some details to work through, but Janine is the best person to talk to, and she's more than willing to help us achieve our fundraising goals as clubs across our district. Okay, next slide, please, Dave. All right, as president, you really are steering the boat. You're looking to the horizon, all the while listening to the conversations amongst your crew. The ship will reach its destination by working together. Celebrate your hard work, ask for help when the seas are rough, and know that there's a flotilla supporting you. As president, it's important to listen. Listen with 2 ears and speak with 1 mouth. Create an engaging club. And I think the more that people are heard, the more they will be likely to participate and engage in activities to create whatever project you happen to be speaking on. Provide clear communication with your club and your district leaders, including your assistant governor. I think it's really important that everyone is on the same page, that everyone knows how you're progressing through whatever project you happen to be working on, and that your AG is also very aware. They're your resource. They are a caveat to the district board and to district leadership. They've got lots of resources and they can help you along your way. Some clubs use newsletters, some clubs use a phone tree. Every club is different, but find a way that will work for your club to keep that communication channel open. I think you'll find that the more you communicate with your club members about your challenges and successes, the better team you will have. Let's face it, we're all volunteers, and we need to recognize the accomplishments of all of the club leaders and members. When you look around your club, I know there's those people that are just amazing organizers, they're amazing contributors, and they have the energy and the drive to keep things going, and people just gravitate towards them, and they are people that need to be recognized and encouraged along the way. Recognize all accomplishments of club members. Every movement, every positive step forward should be acknowledged and recognized. That provides energy and fuel for further work. and makes you feel good. I mean, you know, as volunteers, we're not paid the big bucks to be here, but a pat on the back and acknowledgement goes a really long way. When we're looking at our goals, and Martin will talk a little bit more about goals later this morning, it might be an opportunity to share a Rotary moment. And if you don't have one yourself, you might want to beg, borrow, or steal one from someone else. Having speakers into your club who have opportunities to share their Rotary moments are certainly inspirational and help your club to be motivated when reaching their goals. To be honest, a couple of years ago when our club president came to us in Olds and said, you know, we need a signature project in Olds, we need something that has Rotary all over it. Let's build an athletic park in conjunction with the town, and let's put a $500,000 ask on it. Well, for a club of 27 members, that's a huge chunk to bite off. And a lot of us weren't sure about how to do that. But you know, in sharing with other clubs about our dreams and goals, you know, I was able to have a 30-second elevator conversation with a Rotarian in Red Deer. And thanks to Neil Berg for his conference in Red Deer, this opportunity presented itself. And through that 30-second conversation, I was able to learn so much about writing a CFEP grant that our club got $125,000 towards our $500,000 ask. And it was all because of connections with Rotary that happened. So big goals are awesome. They are achievable. And we do have the resources amongst Rotarians in our district and beyond our district to help achieve those things. Listen to your members. They are the pulse of the club. And be flexible when things aren't working. Let's face it, with the COVID situation and with all of the challenges that we as individuals and as Rotarians, we are trying new things every day. Today, like Dave said, is a huge experiment, and I appreciate your input in today's activities. And if it's not working, we need to be flexible to try new things and to find out what will work for us. So don't be afraid to abandon an idea if it's not working. Keep the pulse of the club. Listen to your members and hear them when things are frustrating and things need to change. So be willing to look for those opportunities. The goals that you set will certainly benefit your community, they'll benefit your club, they'll re-energize you, chart the milestones and celebrate your successes. When these successes come along, be sure to invite family members, be sure to invite your assistant governor, the district governor would love to be involved in your celebrations. Invite those folks that aren't yet Rotarians. There will be lots of people along the way that help us achieve our Rotary goals, and make sure that they're included. Just because they're not Rotarians yet doesn't mean that they might not be. And they're watching and listening and learning from you all the steps of the way. Enjoy the accomplishment and get ready to dream. Okay, next slide, please, Dave. So we've talked a lot about planning, a lot about organizing people, a lot about setting goals and dreams for your club as you enter your leadership position. And to be honest, it can be overwhelming from time to time. I get it. I think a lot of us in leadership in Rotary have those moments when you just feel a little bit overwhelmed. So here's a few things to maybe help you get through those times. And I look at Popeye. I remember as a kid watching Popeye when I was on the television as a small child, and his spinach that used to keep him invigorated. I'm not sure if that was my mom's way of trying to get me to eat spinach or what, but anyways, here's a few helpful hints. Try and stay organized. And I know as Rotary leaders, you're going to get bombarded with emails. Try and figure out a way to organize those emails as they come in. Try and keep a calendar current, and that will help you for sure. Try and delegate your tasks. Oh, Dave, can we go to the next slide if you're able? There we go. Thank you. Try and delegate tasks as you can. Again, you've got a board working with you. You've got committee chairs and other Rotarians that may not be in those leadership roles, but maybe in your club that have a particular skill set or passion for these things that need to be done. Try and stay healthy. I mean, eat a good diet. Try and exercise. I find that this past winter's been a little personally busy for me, but once I started running again, I can clear my head and try and stay organized and healthy. Going back to what we spoke of earlier, keep your members informed of what is happening. If things are going well, pass on that news. If you need help with things, I think it's important to share that too. And there's mentors all around us that can provide us with some advice, some support, and some direction if that's needed. As club leaders, we have a group of people that are often overlooked, and it's so important to remember that there's past club presidents in your club, there's past district governors in our district. These people are hugely resourceful. They've been in your shoes, they know what it's like, and they've gone through tough times and they've gone through celebrations. And I think it's really important to call on them. What a thrill and an honor to be called for help. I think as Rotarians that's something that we're truly always ready to serve. And it's a real honor to be called on for help and to seek advice from those who have held these positions in the past. So remember your club presidents, remember your past district governors, remember people around the district who had leadership in the past that can help you with your challenges. Call on your district assistant governor. We now meet regularly with our assistant governors and our committee chairs. They are sharing best practices with each other across the district, and they will also be a huge resource for you. As Dave mentioned earlier, one of the people who is constantly at the end of the telephone is Charlene Bearded. She's our admin assistant for our district. She is a paid individual and she is a wealth of information. So if there's something very tiny, a very tiny question or a big question, something that you need help with either online or in your clubs, she's certainly a resource to call out to if you're looking for some extra help. So again, Charlene is at our district office and is willing to help you. Keep smiling and remember the balance. Remember that a lot of us are still working. A lot of us have family commitments, and we've taken on some huge roles in Rotary because that's where our passion is, let's face it. It can be a juggling act, and sometimes you need to take a break, and sometimes you need to reach out to those who are around you. And I'll tell you what, when you do need to ask for help, that's when you really discover the family of Rotary. And I know I found that certainly in the past couple of months, that the family of Rotary are truly a resource and a great support whenever you might need that. So don't forget about your fellow Rotarians who are there. Okay, Dave, we go to the next one, please. So when I was club president a number of years ago, I wasn't as well organized as I think many of you are. We certainly didn't have this kind of technology at our beck and hand to be able to share as we can now. But I wanted to think about some things that could have helped me a lot when I was coming into this role. And actually, Rick talked to me about this quite a while ago. He said, Mary, what would you say would be the 5 things you wish you knew when you were coming into this role to pass on to people like yourselves? And so when I think about it, the 5 things that I wish I had when I was coming into your role was a monthly schedule of what things need to be done and when. So as part of the material that we're sending out today after the webinar, we have created a calendar, And in that calendar, every month, we've listed the things that need to be done from a club perspective. It also indicates various special dates that will be happening that you can join us for, things like club webinars, things like extra training opportunities, and that kind of thing. So every month, they'll indicate the theme of the month, the activities that need to be created and completed, and the things that you can use to start planning for months further down your Rotary year. So take a good look at that, and if we can help you achieve any of those strategic milestones, please let us know. Become familiar with your district resources. If you haven't had a lot of time on the district website, I would encourage you to start making that a plan to do that regularly. Take some time, maybe on a rainy afternoon, to look through the district website, call your assistant governor, talk to your past president, find out what's available at the district and the resources that you can connect with. It's a great resource, and again, it's there for you to take a good look at. Pay attention to that People of Action website. It's going to be our go-to place of all of the cool things that's happening at the district level, and I think you'll find that very helpful as you're making your plans and working through your goals for the year. A strategic plan for your club, as Martin will talk later this morning, sets direction. It gives you goals. It gives you a path to follow going forward for your club. And again, a very important document to have at your beck and call whenever you need to just take a step back and see where your club is going. You know, it's funny, I have a recreation degree, and the thing that I didn't do very well was plan social activities for our club. I wish I'd done more of that, because I think the fellowship in Rotary, as I know we have heard in the past through various surveys that we've done, fellowship in Rotary is one of the reasons that we join Rotary, is to get together, to meet each other, to do things together, and to have a good time. Usually we're raising money when we do it, not always, but sometimes. But social activities are great. They bring us together, they create long-lasting bonds, they create those story opportunities and those memories that we carry forward in our Rotary lives. And it's really, really important. And you know, I've been involved. I went to bingo with the Cochrane Club a couple of weeks ago, and what a lot of fun that was, to play bingo online with a bunch of really cool people. So just because we're doing this COVID-19 thing and because we've got the social distancing in place, certainly doesn't mean that we can't have fun together as Rotarians and do lots of social things together. So make sure you do that. Make sure you plan lots of fun things with your club, because that really keeps the energy going, keeps the juices flowing, and lots of laughter and fun together. The other thing that I didn't do very well at was delegate duties to board members, particularly incoming club presidents. I get it. You're the club president. I get it that you're going to be representing your club, but you know what? It's a team effort, and everybody feels more engaged and more happy to be at the table when everybody has a role. So certainly coordinate things, but don't feel like you need to do it all. Delegate duties to your board, to your committees, to Rotarians, and to maybe even those not yet Rotarians, because it'll help them become engaged in what you're doing. And I think you'll find that you're a whole lot more successful at the end of the day. You'll certainly sleep better, and you'll have more fun in your Rotary role. Okay, next idea, please. All right, so we all joined Rotary for a reason. And if you can find out from your members what it is, and find a way for that reason to become their reality, you will have a wonderful year. And you'll have all the support and the fun that you could ever ask for or imagine. Tap into why they are Rotarians. Why are they here on this journey with you? And I think that will solve a lot of the concerns that you may be sitting with this morning. And I think that you will have your best year ever. One of the things that I just noticed on our chat line this morning is your Rotary email, and distinguishing it from your personal email. That's a really good point. And as I took on more leadership in Rotary, I think, can't remember exactly which Rotarian ahead of me had suggested that, but I do have a Rotary email, and that's a great way to separate your Rotary information from your personal information. Try and use that as much as you can. Try to always respond to questions using your Rotary email, and that'll help you be a lot more organized in the future. So very good point, actually, to do that. Always remember the power of a simple smile. I found this quote when we were walking along a bike path in Sydney, Australia. And in Sydney, Australia, there's some beautiful cliffs. And at one particular point, there was a situation along this cliff where, well, let's just face it, it was a place where a lot of people didn't come to very much anymore. And inscribed on the side of the walkway was this quote, and it's always resonated with me. I think that lots of times we don't realize the power of Rotary, the power of a simple smile, a helpful hand, and a listening ear, and a kind word. You know, particularly today, particularly as Rotarians, as we're reaching out to help others, we have no idea how far our reach can be. And I think it's just so important to take time to listen and to learn from each other. And I think we'll have a fabulous time doing the work that we do best, which is serving others. And I just wanted to leave you with this quote. Dave, I don't know if there's any questions that we could address at this point, but certainly open to answer any questions or concerns that anyone has from the discussion so far.
I saw a few questions flip up during the presentation, Mary, so I'll let Dan read them out for you.
Perfect. Thanks, Dave. The first question was just about the Calvary Foundation. It was answered online, but just maybe for the benefit of everyone else who may have the same question or may like the same information. So is there a cost to use the Calvary Foundation as a flow through and to generate tax receipts?
Okay, so great question. Thank you. So there is a cost. The cost is 1% of your donation. Now, in order to open a flow-through fund, you do need to have a $500 contribution to start the fund. And you need 2 people to sign on from your club. One person has to be the person in the treasurer role and another person in your club. So there are some caveats to opening up that flow-through fund, but the cost is 1% of your donation. The Calvary Foundation will look after all of the CRA reporting. They will look after all of the administration that's required in submitting that reporting to the government. And so when I found out that particular piece of information, I was sold, because as Rotarians, as volunteers, we have enough on our plate to look after the Rotary administration. We don't need to ask Rotarians to enter into yet another charitable society to look after all of that, particularly in our smaller clubs where so many of us wear many hats. So, and again, Janine Webb at the Calgary Foundation can answer more of the details, but again, it's only 1% of your donation, $500 to open up the account, and then 2 signatories from your club.
Great, thanks. Next question from Cyril Gurovich, I'm not sure. Did you find that the project for the athletic park in Olds attracted new members?
So we do have some new members, Cyril, not as many as I had hoped, to be honest, but you know, the vibe in the community is so positive with Rotary, and when we do have our fundraisers, we have 100% community response, and people are very excited. We're currently floating the idea of a virtual golf tournament. We're meeting on Tuesday with an ad hoc committee, and I'm kind of curious to see how well this will be responded to in the community. So I do hope that that will bring in more funds to the park and more members to Rotary for sure. So yes, we have had a couple new members and excited for that.
Great. Franco wants to know, how do I get a Rotary email?
Oh, well, you can easily do it through it. Like what I did is I opened up a Gmail account and made it, my Rotary email account is it's mary.turner5360@gmail.com. And I think, Neil, if you're on the line, maybe you can help answer that question. I know you had some challenges with opening up a Rotary email account, but that's what I did, and then I just designated it as my Rotary account. I made sure that all of our district correspondents and RI correspondents use that particular email as their primary contact for me. Neil, I'm not sure if you're on the line, if you're able to help me answer that question.
Yeah, there is the people that host the computer system for the district. We can get an email through there. So I originally had neil.berg@rotary5360.ca. I've moved away from that one because it's not as well supported. So I've gone the Gmail route that you have. But if you want to add on to that 5360.ca host, then I'd talk to Charlene about that.
Other questions too, Dan?
Just one more from Bev Tonkinson. It says, should we be using this for CRCF? I'm not sure what that is, instead of Canada House.
I'm not sure what that is.
CRCF.
Is she able to maybe elaborate on that?
It's Beverly Tonkinson.
That's the Calgary Rotary Clubs Foundation. So it's the foundation just with the 13 Rotary clubs in Calgary.
So that's a different entity altogether, and the answer is no. That's not the way to go, and particularly because when you look across the district at the close to over, we've got what, 48 clubs. That would be a huge ask for that entity to take on all of that administration. So in working with the Calgary Foundation is willing to help all clubs in the district open flow-through accounts through their organization. Now, having said that, I do want to say that there are foundations in other cities across our district, and they are equally interested in helping us. And the Calgary Foundation is very supportive in supporting that idea too. So if you have a foundation in your community that's able to provide your club with this opportunity, then by all means, take a look, have a conversation, and see what they can do for you. If you find that they are not able to do what the Calgary Foundation can do, then, talk to Janine Webb at the Calgary Foundation. If you find that the foundation in your community can provide you with a similar option for charitable receipting, then by all means, talk to them and see what you can set up. Okay, the Calgary Foundation is a resource for us to use. It's not the only resource for us to use.
That's it for open questions, Mary.
Okay, super. Thank
All right.
you. And
Thank you, Mary. We'll hear from you again in about an hour, I think. But thank you, and I think we'll just kind of move on to stay on time. I'm very happy to introduce our next presenter, and I'm pretty sure that most everyone in the district will know Martin. He's running from something, I'm really not too sure what, but he is a fabulous runner. He is a member of the Rotary Club of Cochrane, has been a Rotary member since 2011, and has been the club president, an AG, and is now the district governor nominee. And we look forward to a presentation from Martin. Take it away.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dave. It's great to be here today, and yeah, this first time on this virtual club leadership training session. So I'm going to jump straight into planning for success. And there was a quote by John F. Kennedy: efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. And as I go through the presentation, just keep in mind those two words, purpose and direction. Does your club have a purpose? And does your club have a direction? And I would imagine there are some clubs that say, yes, we have both of those. Others maybe not sure. So I think the presentation today will give some actionable items that you can take if you're really questioning the purpose and direction of your club. Now, the Rotary International Strategic Plan states, long-term planning helps Rotary clubs and districts to be more effective. In a recent survey, districts and clubs with strategic or club plans reported higher levels of improvement in membership development and retention than clubs without plans. So this isn't something our districts come up with, the idea of a club plan. This is something that's proven. It's something in Rotary that has been successful. And I would suggest having a plan, not just obviously in Rotary, but in business or even on a personal basis, will help where you're going. Now just a comment about plans. The only thing worse than a bad plan is a no plan. So this isn't about coming up with the perfect plan, the perfect approach. It's about getting people together. People will get people together to talk and discuss ideas and develop a direction. Now, I kind of like this. I'm a runner, but I found this picture of these cyclists. And if everyone is moving together, then success takes care of itself, Henry Ford. And I think that's one of the key things is, a club is a group of individual members, and it's critical that we work together as to what we want to achieve in a club. If we keep chopping and changing with different presidents, with different attitudes or thoughts, that's great. But let's get together and see what we can achieve together so that we're not in conflict. We're not always trying to reinvent the wheel, every time a new person comes in or there's a change. We do want input, but when you set up a club plan, that gives you a bit of an approach for, let's say, a period of 3 years. Now, we have 48 clubs in the district. Mary mentioned that. And the 3 possible statuses of these clubs are: the club plan is completed, current, and is posted on Club Runner. Now, at this moment in time, and Charlene posts these plans, there are 10 of them. There are 10 of them that are posted. Now, the other situation is that club plans are being developed. At the moment, we have 6 of those in development. And the third area is there is no club plan 32. Now, this could be a case where there was a club plan and it's just sitting on the shelf. It's collecting dust. Maybe people have left and it just needs to be re-energized. Or maybe there hasn't been a plan. Maybe it's just something that really hasn't been a priority for the club. But I do, hopefully today, by the time I've gone through the talk, you'll see a pathway for yourself as the president-elect, and the AG to help the club develop that plan.
Okay, Rick, I think we want to do a poll at this point.
Oh, is this the poll time? Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've got a poll scheduled for about 9 slides later.
Okay, no problem. We can handle it. Thanks, Rick. Next slide, please. So, as president-elect, so you're coming into your year as president, it's your role to develop and update your club plan to make sure it's current and relevant. So you have a key role here. If you have a club plan, it would be to help, to update it. If you don't have one, it would be to develop it. Now, as assistant governor, to facilitate the club plan process with the club members in your club cluster. So the president-elect will work with the assistant governor to devise a process, and this can be maybe club meetings, maybe a couple of club meetings, or a separate morning, maybe a Saturday morning, where the assistant governor and the president-elect will link either, and obviously now it's through Zoom, but you would link and talk about goals for the club plan. And I'll get into that a little bit more. And as president, implement, excuse me, and track progress of the club plan's yearly action steps for each club goal. So this is a situation where the goals are established for, say, the 3-year period, but each year there will be separate yearly action steps for each of those goals. So the top 3 elements for a successful club plan are: involve all members in the club planning process. This isn't a board initiative. This isn't just a small group of people, unless your board is your club. But if it's somewhat of a bigger club, it's critical to involve all members. All members are part of your club, and they all deserve the opportunity to have input as to where the club is going. What's the purpose and what's the direction? Set aside time for this process, I mentioned possibly, a couple of club meetings or a separate time when you can focus on where the club is going. And one suggestion is to set goals, key goals, by the avenue of service. And so, where you have a club that has community service, international service, youth service, for example, look at setting the goals up under those 3 areas, and look at having the directors as being accountable and reportable on those goals. So 3 ways of keeping the club plan alive: have the director of the avenue of service oversee their area. And that gives some accountability and some direction for each of those areas. Have the avenue of service committees set up yearly action steps. So starting in July the 1st for the upcoming year, look at what is the action step that particular committee is going to take. It'll give a focus to that group, to the people in that committee. Obviously, in a smaller club, you potentially won't have all those different committees, but you can still look at where your club is going forward. And generally, the smaller clubs, it would be for community service is where you want to put your focus. And thirdly, direct the director to report status to the club on regular basis. So in our club, we have the club plan, and each month the director reports on where the committee is in terms of the goal. So how are they doing against the goal? Now, over the years, we've tried to figure out a way of helping the clubs develop this club plan. And in the past, we had Martin Harvey, who did an amazing job on going to the clubs and help facilitating the process. It was a very time-consuming approach, and obviously Martin, can only cover so much. So this year, we've attempted to develop a club plan template. And you will all be getting a Word document with this template in. And you can see from this slide, anywhere that is purple is where you will need input. But we've also tried to include a number of items that are already in there. And I'll just go through this. Obviously, Rotary Club of whatever name you are, and about the Rotary Club of, again, whatever the club is. But then we have the purpose of the club plan, the vision, the mission, core values are already in the template. Now, the work that needs to be done with the AG and the president-elect is to facilitate the discussion on key goals. And depending on the size of your club, you may have key goals in club service, membership development, community service, youth, new generations, international service, foundation, and public image. Obviously, depending on the size of your club, you will have those areas, those committees, or not. And as I say, This isn't that you have to have those. It's just you can basically pick and choose. It's like a buffet of the goals you want to set within those areas. We then have the Rotary International 6 areas of focus and the 4-way test. So that's a template for a club who, if you don't have a club plan at the moment, have a look at the template, and very quickly, I feel you can pull together a club plan. And this has been done by several clubs recently to pull together that plan. Now, I want to just go through an example, and I think, hopefully this will help for any clubs looking at, how do we move forward. And this is the Rotary Club of Cochrane's strategic plan, club plan for 2017 to 2022. Whether you do 5 years and split it in half, we've just done an update about 2.5 years in, or whether you do a 3-year plan and update those, that's entirely up to your club. So I want to use the example of community service. And at the time that the plan was put together, Alex Baum was the community service director, and now it's Kevin Shear. He is the community service director. And as a group of members, we came up with these goals to involve the club in a local signature project, to promote initiatives with the community of Morley and Indigenous peoples in general with a view to strengthening relationships. And opportunities will exist for the club and its members to be more involved at the street level of the community. So you can see these goals are overarching. There's no specific numbers in the goals, but the key action is the next step, where yearly action steps were developed. And for the case of these 3 goals, for the first one, the signature project, successfully fundraised for an accessible adventure playground for the Girl Guides. This was taken on, and over a 2-year period, $150,000 was raised, and the Girl Guides playground was built. So that was a huge signature project. And at the moment when the club is doing an update of the plan of the club plan, we're now looking at the next signature project. Next item, to promote initiatives with the community of Morley. So developed and presented an Indigenous learning program with the town of Cochrane and the Stony Nakota. This was a big project. It was, we did it jointly with the town of Cochrane, and over a 6-week period, there were weekly meetings where we had elders came in, and also the town of Cochrane was there. And we went through this learning process. And the very last module, we went to Morley as a group, a town and a club, and we spent a day at Morley participating with the elders and being part of a prayer circle. So again, this was a goal that had come up, and it was the action steps was to follow through on this 6-part program. And the third item is looking for opportunities to do work right on the street level of the community, hands-on work. And the group came up with the Activettes Food Bank and Meals on Wheels. And these are just a couple right now during COVID-19. The group is, we've collected the money from the bingo that was mentioned, the Rotary, the Cochrane bingo, and from our lunch money that we would spend normally. And we're cooking, we're getting help to cook hot meals for frontline workers at the Bethany Care Center. So again, this goal fits, but our current action step, our yearly action step, is to do what we can within COVID-19. So these are just some of the situations that your club could be in right now. And this isn't, this isn't good or bad. It's where you are. It's where you are in this point in time. And the idea is to move forward with the purpose and the direction. So if you don't have a club, what steps are you going to take to establish a club? When are you going to take this action? And who will contact you as a resource? So this is something that clubs can do right now in COVID-19. Previously, we would have had face-to-face, but now we have Zoom. And some clubs are working on this during this time. They're bringing their members in through Zoom, and they're going through this process. Now, if you have a club plan, but it needs updating, so what steps are you going to take to update your club plan? When are you going to take this action? And how will you make it a living document? And the idea of making it a living document is you come up with your yearly action steps, you talk about it at meetings, and when you have a new member join, you share with them what the plan is. You know, we talk about membership, we talk about retention. It's important not only for the members who are currently members to know what's going on, but we've got people who are interested in joining Rotary, who want to, during this time, are looking to Rotary as an organization. And if they can come in and the club has a plan, right away they know they're joining something that has a direction and a purpose. Recently, there was in Cochrane, there was the initiation, induction of a new satellite club, and there are 19 members who joined that club, and we've reviewed the club plan with them, so they know kind of where this is going. Now, for them, they can develop their own club plan as a satellite club, but we have new members that are joining all the time, so it's important to share where we are with each of them. And if you have a living club plan, how will you keep the club plan a living document? How often will you review the plan? And how will you share the plan with new members? As I mentioned, just 3 months ago, the Cochrane plan was updated with really very little change, just some different focuses on the goals, but also obviously the yearly action steps is something that's changed, and you know, it has to each year. But to update a plan, once you've got one, is not a huge undertaking. If the club is having success with the plan they're doing, and obviously you will get input from any new members or the current members who have some other ideas, it's not a huge undertaking to update a plan that you currently have. The big step is establishing the plan. That's where the work comes in. But from then on, as long as you stay on top of it, communicate with your members, it's an ongoing process.
Okay, Martin, I think this is where we have slotted your survey, your market research update. I'm not 100% sure that if I launch it, that everybody's going to see it. We may have to ask Dave to do it, but let's give it a shot here. Can everybody see the screen where it has polling, planning for success?
No, sorry.
Dave, can you run it from there, please? Or give me back, no, you try it. You there, Dave?
Oh, here we go. Great.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. This is tremendous. Okay, so let's see how this goes.
You're going to get to update your market research.
This is great. All right, so planning for success. Does your club currently have a plan that identifies strategies to recruit, diversify, engage, and retain members, thus helping make your club stronger? So you can say yes, no, or unsure.
We're only at a little over 50% of the participants have voted.
Okay, come on, everybody. It's yes, no, or unsure. I mean, there's an answer in there for everybody. So let's get 58 answers. And I think panelists, you can do the same, right?
Actually, hosts and panelists cannot vote, Martin.
We can't vote. What's that all about?
Talk to the administrator.
Okay. So how's it going? I can't see the results.
It's 94% have voted, and it's 43% yes, 17% no, and 40% unsure, which is also an important number. That tells you that there's not good transparency on whether your club has a plan or doesn't have a plan. Can you close it off?
Yeah, I'm going to end the polling and see what happens. Okay. There you go.
All right. So, okay, good. Well, this is very interesting. So 43% said yes. So what I would say to that 43% is I wish I had another poll. have you posted, and we're going to add this in the future, have you posted the club plan have you sent it to Charlene to be posted on the Club Runner? So to the 43%, just think about that, all right? And if you have, great. If you haven't, then please send it, because the reason that we're asking for that is when we share, we can learn from each other. And at the moment, there are 10 clubs that have posted, and there is a great opportunity to read what your other clubs are doing on the club plan, and learn from each other. It's a great way of sharing in the clubs, the club information on the district and bringing in new ideas. So the 43%, please, please go forward on that. The 17% no, well, let's do it. Eh? Let's try something for this year. Let's put a club plan together, and let's get that out there, because it makes a huge difference for your club and for your members. So for the no plan, please think about that. And this is just a first try. There's no wrong answer here. It's just really, it's all about having a discussion with your members as to what they want to do within the club. And that really has to be a top priority. Now, the 40% unsure, as Rick said, that's a really interesting number. So I would suggest that means having a discussion with your club members, the president-elect and the AG, and obviously the president, the current president, and just say, where are we? Where are we? Do we have an old plan that needs to be revitalized? Are we just not sure, where we're going here? So again, the opportunity of having a discussion with the members of your club, and make it a meeting that is focused on the club plan. I suggest you don't do it as part of a meeting that has a speaker and maybe some other stuff. Make this a focus on the plan. Yeah, that was great. Good work, guys. Thank you. Good teamwork. So finally, before any questions, this is when you do a club plan. This is how you're going to feel. You are going to be so happy that it's done, but also that you're working together towards something. And going back to the very beginning with John F. Kennedy, what we're looking for in a club, and I think what we're looking for as individuals, is a purpose and a direction. And I think when you couple that with service above self, we're unstoppable. I mean, Rotary is such an incredible organization. And when we harness the power of Rotarians, I believe that it will not only, and it does bring incredible good around the world, but it will attract members. People want to be part of something. And I think if they see an organization and a club that it really has a belief in where they're going, they'll want to join us and stay with us. So thank you. That's my presentation. Any questions?
Martin, there's a couple of open questions from Beverly Tonkinson and Brenda Sargent. They just want to understand the difference between, is there a difference between a strategic plan and a club plan, or are there any differences?
Yeah. Okay, some people don't like the word strategic plan, so I've very cunningly changed it to club plan so that you feel a bit more comfortable. But there is, basically, no, and I don't want to be facetious, but it's, no, there is, basically, in my mind, there's no real difference.
Rhea Graham wants to know, is there a difference? What is the difference kind of between a satellite club and chartering a new club? Oh,
great question. So a satellite club, and I don't have all the details, but let me give you the outline is, and anyone else can jump in. A satellite club needs 8 members to get started. And also, it is part of the mother or the home club. So Cochrane, we have 40 members, well actually almost 50 members, and we have been joined by a group of young professionals, 19 of them, as a satellite club. Now our numbers come under the Cochrane numbers. So I think we're at 70 right now, but the satellite club has the power to set their own meeting times. They'll set their own agenda. So basically they can run their own show, but the Cochrane Club still has the board of directors. Okay, we are the main club. What I'd be happy to do, there is an excellent frequently asked questions on satellite clubs. Maybe that's worth sharing with the group once we finish this. But and so basically, the satellite club, part of the idea is a satellite club will become a chartered club in maybe 18 months to 2 years. So it's a way of getting people involved who don't want the traditional or our kind of approach in Cochrane. It's somewhat traditional, which is great. It works for our club, but the new young professionals are going to have a different approach, in terms of team club meetings and so on. That's a bit of a, just kind of a simplified. I believe a chartered club needs 20 members to get it going. So that's just a couple of things on the difference.
Great, thanks. There are no remaining open questions, Martin.
Great.
I did
Thanks,
notice
Dan,
that
and thank you, Martin. Just a reminder to everyone, please use the Q&A button on your on the bar, on the viewing bar. That's what Dan is monitoring for the questions, and we are happy to take them. We've made provision for questions at every presentation, so take advantage of the folks that you have on the screen and ask them tough questions. We're going to take a break now. Water, it's too early for wine, but a bathroom may be necessary, and we will start again promptly at 10 o'clock with Linda Morris. So hang tough.
Thanks, everybody.
Martin, I did notice that the poll now shows at the bottom of the screen and will stay there for the entire presentation. You have it on yours between the Q&A button and the chat button. You're on mute.
Yeah, that's the launch button. That's
Okay, yeah. So when you open it now, it does show the actual results from the poll.
Yeah, terrific. That was great. That was a good idea.
Martin, you should have bragged a little bit about that young professional group. I saw on the news last night they're having their a drive-in movie show to raise money for the community. So that was an awesome thing.
Well, this is going to be a story that will get into People of Action, Dan. I mean, I think there's a few stories out of this club, just as an example of a satellite club, and yeah, it's going to be it's going to be fantastic.
And the other thing was Mohammed Idris, one of our directors from Brooks, was on the news last night and dealing with how the community is handling the whole situation and the different things to do because of the high incidence down in Brooks. So there was two Rotary events on the same newscast last night. It was great.
That's pretty cool. Were they identified as Rotarians, Dan?
Yes.
Oh, they were. Cool. Wow. It just makes you feel good, hey? That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I noticed that the Brooks president, Norm, is also on this as a participant today. So if he has a comment, he certainly can put it down. Rick, I'm not sure what I did with the poll. Is that because I was sharing the screen that it wouldn't let you display it?
Yeah, I couldn't, yeah, that's why, well, I could display it on mine, but I couldn't, it wasn't showing up for everybody because it's
Wasn't
part of
sharing.
this,
Yeah.
part of the screen share.
Yeah.
So
I think,
after, you'll continue to advance the slides for Linda's PowerPoint slides. And then she'll signal when she's going to go live. You'll need to then hand over the screen share to her.
I'll stop sharing my screen and she will start sharing hers. You'll have to watch. I'm not sure she can do that without becoming a host. So it'll be interesting.
She's set up as a co-host.
Oh, she is. Okay. So
Yeah,
that'll
already.
be perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll work. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as she came on this morning, I set her up.
Perfect.
No, Rick, I'm showing as a participant.
You are?
Yeah.
Hang on. Wonder why that is. You came in through the special link, right? You should have it now.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Norm from Brooks also sent a little note through the Q&A about the status of things in Brooks. So I might just start the second half with that.
Sure. What time we having everybody come back as per the schedule, or 10 minutes?
Well, yeah, I think so, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Around 50 attendees. It's been going up and down a bit, and 8 panelists. So around 58 people on the call for the last, since we started.
Thanks, Dan.
Can I just make a comment? Martin, I'm going to make mention of the passport
Oh, great.
at the end. So I'm going to tell everybody in the Western Hemisphere to talk to you.
Okay, no problem.
Good.
Yeah, perfect. All right, it's 1 minute to 10. We're just about ready to start up again. But I would like to just pass along to everybody from the president of the Brooks Rotary Club, from Norm. He sent a little note through the chat function, or the question and answer function, and thanks, Norm. Brooks is doing well. The number of cases is down to 59 active cases in Brooks. The Brooks Rotary has donated to the food bank, and many of the social organizations are working together to work on things like social distancing and washing hands, and some of their members are actually working at the testing stations for asymptomatic people, and they're hopeful that as they do that, the numbers will go down. So I know it's had a huge impact on the town of Brooks, so that's great. And Norm also wanted to pass along that their mayor indicated the other day that they are donating a fire truck, the Los Amigos. So good for them, and thank you. All right, 10 o'clock? Yeah. I'm very happy to introduce Linda Morris. Welcome back, everybody. I'm very happy to introduce Linda Morris. Linda Morris is a charter member of the Fish Creek Rotary Club, which was chartered in 1996, so do the math. She has held pretty much every position within that club over that period of time, and has been very active in the District Youth Exchange Committee throughout her time in Rotary. She's now retired and loves to read and travel, and nothing better than when you're traveling to read, so that's great. Linda, it's all yours.
Thanks very much, Dave. Setting your goals. So you've heard about your plan. You've heard about it's a good idea to have an idea of where you're going. You also want to be able to measure that. So thank you very much for changing. So in these times of the pandemic, you realize that having a goal and having data and stats is so important in order for you to make decisions. So each club should really be preparing some goals. And that is in My Rotary. Now, My Rotary is a place where you have to have a login and an account. And that login is not the same login as your club runner. So for My Rotary, you need to go in and create an account if you don't already have one. To prepare and enter goals, there are only 5 designations within a club that can actually enter those goals. So in order to do that, those board members will have to have already been entered into Club Runner, which feeds into My Rotary, so that when you go to My Rotary to enter your goals, it knows that you have the ability to enter those goals. Those 5 Rotary designations in your club are, of course, President, Secretary, and Treasurer, Foundation Chair, and Membership Chair. Those 5 are the only 5, unless you delegate to someone else, that can enter the goals for the next year. Next slide, please. Logging into My Rotary. If you just type My Rotary in Google, it'll bring you here. You go to My Rotary. If we go to the next slide, please. You either sign in, if you've already got a sign in, login and password, or you can register for a new account. So let's create a new account quickly. I'm not going to actually create it, but this is the type of information that you're going to need to create an account. And I really wish we had the hands up pieces so I could see how many people already have and how many need to create. So you're going to need your name and your email, of course, and whether or not you're 18 years or older, which I'm assuming you all are. You're going to need some basic information, city, postal code, your secondary email if you have one. And then the important part is which club. So you are a club member and which club you're a member of, that club name and your member ID. Now this is important because without being a club member, you don't have ability to enter goals or see the goals for the clubs. Next slide. Again, once you get in there, if you're not sure who's already been designated, I will show you where to find this information. But these are the 5, again, the foundation chair, the membership chair, president, secretary, and treasurer, the only 5 in your club that can enter goals. All right, Dave, I'm going to take over now, and I am going to share my screen.
Linda, just one comment. At the beginning of this Rotary year, 51% of our Rotarians had a My Rotary account. As of yesterday, it's now 56%. So we are moving in the right direction, but lots of opportunity for further growth.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so we are in My Rotary. You can see, can you see the screen well enough?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So on the top right hand, you can see that I'm already signed in. I'm not going to go through all that. And it brings you to the My Rotary main page. Sorry, I'm just going to try and get rid of my pictures. There we go. So there's 2 places you can find. We're looking for Rotary Central. This is where you're going to do all your work. You can either go to the Member Center and find Rotary Central, Rotary Club Central. I like to go through Manage, because when you go to Manage, it puts all your club stuff in one place, and you go to Rotary Club Central. This is going to bring you to your dashboard, your club's dashboard. And this is kind of this is quite a cool little area. You can see I'm a Fish Creek member, so it's bringing up, oh, it's a little slow. It's bringing up the Fish Creek dashboard. What's really neat about this is that these dashboard pieces, your membership trends, your gender trends, and your age trends always show up, whether you do something in this or not. This is where information gets pulled from your membership list that you put into Club Runner and gets flowed into Rotary International. So already, without doing anything, you have access to some very interesting information. Also, your annual foundation trends. There are a couple of extra little pieces on your dashboard that are manually driven, and I'll show you how to fill these ones in as we go along. So that's where you end up in your dashboard. You can also look at it from a district perspective. I'm not going to go into these because I might slow down the computer. All the club groups, all clubs. You can look at other clubs if you wanted to, I believe. I know I can see them, so I'm assuming you can, or you can look by zone. So that's your dashboard. All right, so how do we get numbers in here? So we go to what's called the Goal Center. And again, it's going to bring up Fish Creek because that's where I'm a member of. And it's going to bring up your current year. So the first piece that you have to be cautious of is to check that you're in the right year. So this is the current year. And you can see we've already got some goals in there and we've got some achievements. But you, president, treasurer, secretary, membership, and foundation chairs, are really interested in putting in your goals for next year. So let's click over to 2020, 2021. So the first thing you're going to notice is the goals are separated by categories. So there's goals in the membership and engagement category, the foundation category, which is why the chairs of those 2 areas, the service category, young leaders, and public image. Now, if you want to see a list of all the possible goals, you would go to the All tab. And this is where I would probably start to have a look and see what goals am I able to choose. And I would suggest you do not choose all of them. You look at your strategic club plan and determine what your focus is going forward. And those are the goals that you would select. If you're not sure what the goal is, each goal has a little drop down that tells you this is what this goal is about. And it gives you a little bit of a history over the last few years. I purposely chose membership because that one gets automatically populated and everyone should have this one. So let's say I want to select membership. I might want to select my service participation, and I'll select leadership development participation. I'll just select 3 for now. Once you've selected what your goals are, you want to put in what your actual goal is. Mine already have some numbers in because I've done this demonstration a few times and it just keeps picking up the numbers that I put in before. So you put all your numbers in and hit save. So you can see now that I've got 3 goals. Oh, I forgot to put a number in there. So let's edit that. And let's put a number in. I don't know, I'll put 5 and save it. So you can see that once I select the goals, the list becomes reduced to just those goals I've selected. If I go into my tabs, they'll show up in whatever tab they're related to. And of course, I only picked stuff for members engagement. So you've got your goals for the year. July 1st comes along and you start to do things. You induct new members. As you induct new members, you go into your, sorry, I do that every time. Membership is automatic. As you do new service items, you go in and say, all right, we worked at the food bank on July 5th and I've got 1 there. So I'm going to manually enter that. In our club, it's the secretary that puts all this in. However, you can decide how you want to do that. So as the year goes on, you will edit your goals to increase the achievement. And at the end of the year, you'll have a nice little chart of what did we say we were going to do and what did we actually do. All right, so those are the goals that you would use to align against your strategic plan. And then you would edit them as you go. There's another little area that I want to show you. It's called service activities. And I'm really not sure a lot of clubs use this. Our club does use it. So this is where you would put information with regard to your volunteer activities. So how many volunteers does it take and how many hours and did you put some money into it? Or your fundraising activities. And there's 3 ways that you can enter. If it's a brand new service project, you would click here. If it's one that you do year over year, for example, we do the food bank year over year, so I would pull that over. And then there's a 3rd one, import from Rotary Showcase. I'm not going to talk about this one. It's a bit more advanced, and I think if you get started with these 2, you're off to the races. So let's add a new project. Again, I'm checking my year. This is for next year. And generally, you'll want to use your community services and your fundraising people to feed into this. So your project would be, I'm going to say, we're going to do a bingo. I'm just making it up. You put a little summary, and then you go down and say, when is that bingo going to take place? Well, for us, let's say it's going to take place in sometime in August, and it's going to finish, we haven't got a date yet, so we're going to go August to October. And you want to know how many volunteers is it going to take to run this bingo? Let's say for our club, it's going to take 10 or 12. And each of those volunteers needs to put 5 hours in, so that's 60 hours. We're not contributing any money. You could change that to Canadian dollars if you wanted. And we're not contributing any goods. The category for this event is fundraising, is community. Oh, sorry, fundraising, there it is. And we have no partners, but if you did, well, let's say we're having Rotary partners. So there you've set up your whole fundraising event, and it's a current project. Once the project, August 15th comes along and you run a fantastic bingo and you want to show that the project's completed, we only needed 10 people and they did 55 hours. Project complete. Save. And then that will show that your project has now moved over to the completed project list. So that's how you would build a brand new one. Let's say you wanted to bring the ones across from the years before that you always do. So let's say we always do a wine raffle and we always do mustard seed. Let's just do mustard seed. You choose it. I don't know why I can't get down. Oh, I know why. This is in the way. You copy the project and there it is. It's just a matter then of adding your start date. I'll just put any old dates in. I'm going to have to erase these or else our president will be very confused. And put your projected numbers in. I'll just put again 10 and 50 hours. And for this one, we're going to, it's fundraise, it's community, and we have no partners. So you'd save that, and once again, you've just pulled it over. It saves you typing everything in, and we've got our projects there. As you complete them, your summary is going to show at the bottom. So we've achieved one. We've put our hours in, there's no cash contributions. So you have a little bit of a nice history. And when you complete these, it will feed the goal center if you chose services as one of your goals. Are we good so far? If you haven't heard anything that I said or I went too fast, resources is where you want to go. General resources gives you almost everything that's in the kit that you're going to get, how to set up a goal, how to progress it, how to record your activities that we just went through, and how to view the information.
And
Yes?
Valerie Mashinsky wants to know if you can enter a goal that's not on the predetermined list of goals.
I do not believe so. I've not found a way to customize that list. But if someone else knows better than I, step in, please. And I agree with her. I think some of those goals, for example, ripen's missing. There's a couple of different leadership goals that it's confusing. Which one do you use? So it would be nice to be able to customize them a little bit. So there's the resources. It's all your how-to and understanding, you know, how you build stuff. The other cool thing I wanted to show you was the reports. There are some really nice reports, and again, you can do it by the various categories. So this is one I looked at. I thought it was a neat one, especially if you're new to the role or new to the club and you want to kind of look back to see what happened in this club. Like how did membership look? I just don't know how to get you guys. There you go. So I'm going to pick for this year, for our club, July to May. And it gives you a really good history of, I just picked 1 year, but you could go back a number of years, I assume. And it gives you a bit of a history of what your July 1st membership was and your year-to-date membership. So our club seems to be doing all right so far. Very happy with that. There are all sorts of other, so you can do it by your club. You can also look, everything you put in rolls up to the district. So this helps Christine, Mary, and Martin, and Steve coming up, see what's going on in their district. But if you're not using it, they're not going to see your part. And then it rolls up also to regional reports and eventually up to the RI reports. So that's dashboard, goal center, service activities. There is a global view. I mean, that just shows the summary of, again, whether it's club, district, zone. There's one more place, I'm running out of time. There's one more place I'd like to show you in my Rotary. So to get back to the main homepage of my Rotary, you go to home. And again, this is something for people who have been Rotarians forever and people who are new to Rotary. If you go to Learning and Reference and the Learning Center, there are a multitude of little training sessions that you can do online. So if you're new to president, if you're a new president, there is one for that. If you're new to the secretary position, there's a training session for that. Same for treasurer. There's information on how to diversify your clubs. And it's all here. There's best practices. It just goes on and on and on. And on behalf of Rick, I'm going to suggest have a look at this and pick something you're interested in and learn a little bit more about how things work in Rotary. And I'll leave it at that, and I will pass the sharing back to you, Dave. If I can get there.
Linda, it's Rick here. I just thought I would mention that we have planned a Navigating the Rotary Learning Center webinar for Wednesday, June 17th. So there'll be information coming out on that shortly so that people can sign up for that webinar. And that's focused on just getting on, navigating, and finding. It's a tremendous resource. It's almost a one-stop shop for everything Rotary and beyond.
Are there any questions? Were there any questions from that?
There is one open question, Linda. It's from Franco, and he says, how do you get members to provide the data in a large club?
I'm not sure what data. The membership data should be in their application, and that would be the data that gets entered into the membership side. I'm not sure what other data you're looking at. If it's if you have committees, so for the club service committee, we ask our club service director to give us the information as to what they feel we're going to do from a volunteer perspective, so we can enter that information. And it holds them sort of accountable. It holds our club accountable. Same with the fundraising.
Franco says project data. So how do you get the members' project data in a large club?
Oh, okay. So we've done the volunteer. Again, it comes down to, for us, and I don't know if anyone else would do it differently. For us, it's whoever has arranged that volunteer session. They give me a list of who was there and approximately how long it took. I mean, it's not going to be exact. For example, our golf tournament, it's pretty well all the members do something, and we just sort of average out. You know, the committee does maybe 10 hours of work and everyone else does 5, or we average it out just to give an idea, and it helps the club and the community services person make decisions on, if we do that volunteer session, do we have enough people, and can we actually fill the positions, and is it worth it?
I hope that answers your question, Franco. As well, Dan Dougherty just posted a quick note in the chat session that said, whoever the champion is should have the data and should make sure it gets to the right place. So
Right.
there's no other open questions, Linda.
Perfect.
Thank you, Linda. We'll actually just move ahead. Our next presenters are a pair of past district governors. Dan Dougherty is the past president of the Calgary West Rotary Club, where he's been an active member for 37 years, longer than I've been alive. Dan is a advocate for youth and has been involved in a number of youth projects throughout the district and other places. He and his wife, Marlene, have been down to Mexico 15 times, I think, or more than a dozen, to build houses. And Dan has been awarded the Distinguished Service Above Self Award within the district. Neil is also a past district governor and Rotary Club of Red Deer East in 1989. He's been the president of that club twice and a number of other functions within the district over the years, and is also involved in service in Mexico. So take it away, you two.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll get that first slide up. There's one before that one. Cool. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you again for being here. And as always, as we always say, thank you for all that you do for Rotary. Past District Governor Dan and I are going to talk about four things in the next half hour or so: people, projects, promotion, and then we're going to leave you with some resources to help you finish out 2019-20 with some good momentum, and then make 2021 your best Rotary year ever. So here's some questions to keep in mind as we go through this. What does Rotary mean to you, to your club members, to your community? Is Rotary actually in your community known by what we do? If Rotarians are people of action, then we need to be known by our actions. Next slide there. Yeah, that one there, you bet, thanks. So we've talked in the past about the vibrant club and what that entails. You know, to grow Rotary, so broader and deeper, we must pay attention to our clubs, to the members and the visitors, find our meetings a good use of time and resources. When we get together, are those gatherings meaningful, and the Rotary F word, are they fun? And here's a question for you, club leaders. What's the opinion of Rotary by your members of our local community? Does Rotary have a meaningful, positive impact? And what would be the community response if your Rotary Club folded? So we want to talk about capacity building. Next slide, the people of action. We want to deliver on a value proposition. What's the value of being a Rotarian? Is there a value to being a member of your club? So I'm going to ask Dan now, what do we mean when we talk about people of action? What do we mean when we talk about a club's value proposition, Dan?
Thank you, Neil. I mean, really what we're talking about, are we walking the talk? Are we people of action? And our motto truly is service above self. And we really need to get ourselves back focused a little bit on what our priorities are and what our true objectives are. Slide, please. And so we talked, you know, Neil talked a little bit about engagement and what that means. Well, the absolute most important thing, actually, you skipped a slide there, I think. Oh, no, I guess not. Okay, well, back. Okay, we'll see here. So really, engagement. What is engagement? We talk a lot about engagement and we got to get our members engaged and that type of thing. And the reality is, we need to go back, please. Don't go back where you were. Okay. So the reality is, we need to know who our members are before we can get them engaged. Right? Right now, there's a whole ton of uncertainty right now with the whole COVID issue, and we need to contact and understand what's happening with our membership. So this slide, it says we need to be old school a little bit on this, because I don't know about you guys, but if you read an email, you can read it 12 different ways depending on the mood you're in and where you're at in your life. We really need to have personal contact with people. Yeah, these Zoom meetings and all that are awesome, but we really need some people-to-people chats about what's going on. So again, do we know our members and do we know the well-being they're in? So next slide, please. So the reality is we as a district have just done a survey. They went out to you. Mary and I put this survey out to all the members in the district. I'd like to tell you that right now we've got 318 people have answered the survey to date. You're going to get an email from me today to remind you to go in. This is the chance for Rotarians, every Rotarian in the district, to tell us how they are and what they're doing, right? And the reality is we need to understand how people are feeling. So I'll just give you a little update. Right now, we have those surveys done, and a third of our members have a higher level of anxiety and stress in their lives. Isn't that crazy? I mean, we knew that there'd be some of that going on, but we've got a lot of people in that kind of anxiety level. We don't have a lot of our members that actually overall are doing incredibly well, and over half have really positive things that have happened during this COVID situation. They've got more time to get those jobs done that they didn't get done, and they need, there's increased. They want to. They have more contact with their family members, even though they can't see them. Right. So there are some positives, but we need to understand. But there are some frustrations here happening on what they can do, and there's lots of difficulty in figuring out in all our clubs on where it is they should be doing things in the community. How can they get engaged, right? How can they contribute? How can they support financially? Those types of things. And so we need to have that absolute membership dialogue at every club level. Every one of you are going to get the results of your club, whether there's one response or there's, in one club, there's over 30 responses already. So you're going to get that, but you've got to look at it and figure it out. Because see, everybody has a need. They have a need to say, we need a purpose every day to be alive and engaged. And what I'm finding for our surveys is that our members are asking how they can contribute. The one positive you can do, and then we're going to pass it on to Neil a little bit, is how do we get these projects going and how do we do these things? 87% of our members that have answered the survey are saying they're going to renew their memberships. Okay, so that means there's still 13% of our members that could be falling off the map here very shortly if we as club leaders and district leaders don't respond to that. And you think about that, 10% of our members is 170 members that we could be losing very shortly if we don't respond. So Neil, how are we going to show the community that we have a value? See, I don't think Neil and I believe there isn't a better time for us to show that Rotary is relevant to our members, and now relevant to our community. So Neil, how are we going to do that?
You know what, Dan? I'm gonna go back to paraphrasing a quote from Paul Harris, and that is that we will be known by our actions and what we do. So now we're talking about the third P. We've got to put the rubber on the road and talk about our projects. Is it time to start something new? Can we partner with somebody else? Do we know what the needs are in our communities? The survey that Dan initiated a few years ago showed that most Rotarians, when they joined, they wanted to be in. One of the reasons they joined was because they wanted to be involved in the local projects. One of the reasons that they stayed was, major reasons they stayed was because of local projects. They learned about international projects, but local projects still seem to carry a higher importance among Rotarians about why they joined. So this is new. This is good information for prospects, and why they stay as well. Do we know what our communities need? I'm going to use the example of the community assessment that Dan and a couple others led in Raymond, and it really it was a meeting of everybody in the community, and what came away from that was an understanding of what was needed, and then hands started going up. Well, shoot, I like that idea. I can help with that, etc., etc. So it really revitalized that club as well. The other thing that I'll mention too, when it comes to projects and our face in the community, are there opportunities to partner, to collaborate with other clubs in your area? And I'll give you an example. Here in Red Deer, there was Access for All playground that was set up for disabled kids and adults, and every one of the clubs in Red Deer was involved financially and doing the work of putting the equipment up. With what other organizations in your community that you can work with, collaborate with? Mary talked about using the local community foundation to explore the idea of being able to have charitable contribution receipts issued, and thereby attracting more funds. What other service clubs in your community can you collaborate with? I'll give you a great example, and that's the campground in District Governor nominee Martin's Club of Cochrane, which is co-managed between the Rotary Club and the Lions Club. Next slide, please. So here's our call to action. We need to focus on the solutions. We need to find ways to say yes. And what we're talking about here is we're wanting to say yes and, not yes but. We'll always go back to that thing that, well, we don't do things that way. Well, now it's a different time, and we maybe need to look at different ways to build these solutions. Build these solutions with respect to our clubs, our meetings. We've got different ways of getting together on a regular basis, and maybe our fundraising needs to there needs to be a little different focus there. When the physical distancing, we can't. We have to rethink about how we're maybe going to do projects. We have to be open to the imagination and the creativity of our members as well. Next slide, please. So let me ask a question then of District Governor Dan, past District Governor Dan. Is it enough for, we know that we do good things in our community. Is it enough for our existing members to just sit back and keep our light under the bushel basket and be quiet and not blow our own horns, Dan?
Well, I think I want to step back a little bit on it at first, because you talked about some great things about getting engaged in the community and finding the projects. And again, we're talking about engaging our members, and our membership want to be engaged. And what's coming out of the survey quite clearly is our members want to be asked how they can contribute. Members want to be asked on where they think that our club funds and our district funding should go. They're not looking for the people on high to tell them this is where the money's going to go, and this is where we're going to do. No, they're saying, hey, we need to be involved in this process. And we need to, so when you talk about promotion and communication, it starts at the club level, please. It starts with asking every member, because every member has a different need. And we're seeing that diversity in the answers that we're getting in the survey again, that, hey, there's some people in different communities, we don't have a whitewash solution here, because what's really important in Fort McLeod is a little bit different than it is maybe in Brooks right now, especially with the situation, or in Calgary as well. So we need as club leaders and district leaders to really ask each member what they need, right? And to start really promoting that. So, I mean, again, the survey says, I mean, they know, our membership know that over 50% want to be supporting a lot of our nonprofits that we already support in the community, because they know they're going to have some issues. They know that we're going to have to find ways to contribute better. So if we go to the next slide, please. You know, we need to connect. Together we connect, right? We need to grow Rotary in this whole transformed world. So we have a choice. Every one of us on this call have a choice. We have a choice to say, oh my God, this is going to be a different world, and what's it going to be like? And oh, I'm not sure. No, our choice can be, hey, it's going to be a different world, and we're going to define what the heck that is. And we're going to tell the world where we're going to be participating. We're going to tell the world what's happening. So let's go next slide, please. So we got this whole new paradigm. Like, how do we get our stories out there? First of all, it's really interesting to me. And, you know, last year, as everybody knows, I was really after this people of action kind of things and getting information from the clubs. Well, you know what? You got to get better at sharing it internally in your clubs, what you're doing, and with us, with the district, with our whole peopleofaction.ca site that was started this year. It's an amazing portal to keep our membership engaged and get stories up there. But you know what? We don't have every club participating and telling their story. This is up to you. This isn't the district's job. This is every Rotarian's job to tell the story and be part of it. And you know, wearing your pin. Wearing your pin. Being proud of who you are and what we're doing. We gotta find different ways to give to the community, and our foundation giving will be different. But you look at the things we're doing there, it's phenomenal. Membership, right? It's interesting. Our membership is up 20 members, but over half our clubs are down in membership, and some dramatically down in membership. And we got some that are really flat. We got one club, that Cochrane Club we heard about earlier. Martin, thank you very much. I mean, you've added 26 members with your young professional group. Without that, we would be in a negative position already today with our membership. So let's be honest with ourselves, and let's look at our membership. Public image and branding and all those types of things. Let's be consistent. Let's buy into what everybody's trying to do and tell these people of action stories. Right? So next slide, please. So how are we going to do this, right? And you know, Neil, you talk a lot about, you know, you talked about or Martin talked about the Passport Club, and how are other ways that we can learn? Every member, if we can learn about how things are happening, we can get better. So Neil, what's your thoughts on that?
You know, there's a ton of resources available to help us do this. First of all, we need to look, as Dan says, look inside ourselves, look inside our clubs, and figure out what it is that our club members, where their passions are, what their interests in, what they want to do. The first resource that I want to highlight here, Dan mentioned this, Martin mentioned this earlier as well, the passport. So there's a Martin's challenge is to go to this peopleofaction.ca. That's the website, peopleofaction, all one word, .ca, and gives you an idea of how to connect to clubs around the world. And it's just what it is. It's just what it says it is. It's a passport. And by doing this, I think that what every Rotarian that participates in this is going to do is you're going to see what's going on in all these other clubs, whether it's just in Calgary or it's in our district, or it's like what's going on in Florida and Honduras, etc. So there's one example of something that we might partake. Next slide, please. So here's another one, and this is a survey, kind of an internal analysis club assessment tool that I really like a lot, and that is the Rotary Club Health Check. This is a great resource. It's one of my favorites. There's 6 parts to this, and I haven't got the slides to go through this, but there's 6 kind of, it's like a doctor, like a checkup that you would get at the doctor's office, where you'll fill in a survey, he'll ask you some questions, and then there's some analysis and recommendations that come out of that. And that's exactly the way this thing is set up as well. And there's 6 parts to it. There's your club experience, finding out what it is our club members are seeing, feeling, experiencing, and what they want. Service and socials. The club socials as a way of getting together is important. Members as well. We should maybe be reframing our membership, not just by the numbers, but our membership services, to the kind of connections that Dan was talking about a few minutes ago. What about our public image? And then the 6th one is the business and the operations. There's a number of other membership assessment tools, easy for me to say, number of other membership assessment tools that you can find both on the district website and also by Googling on Rotary.org. So there's resources there for you, as well as the membership and learning area. So just the next slide there. Dan, just give us an idea here. What do we mean by developing a plan?
Okay, so you've heard about this before. You heard about did the thing on doing your strategic plan or club plan or whatever. And what's really interesting to me is that we need to start our base on our membership, but one of the things that we found why people were leaving Rotary, quite honestly, is that they didn't feel that Rotary was connected to their community any longer. And we really need, as a group, to take the time to really understand what's happening in our community, around our community, and get engaged in those types of things. And this is the important part of building a plan. And the other thing is we need to build a plan that our membership can engage in and drive. Now, I'm going to do a call out to Calvary Fish Creek, who have are working on revising their strategic plan right now, and they're doing it online, and they're doing it through surveys, and they're doing it through an engagement and interaction with their club members. And it's been from what I've seen, the results of that have been a phenomenal direction. It sets a clear direction for the club on how to do that. And hopefully we're going to, as we come out of this survey, we're going to be able to provide those kinds of tools to you at the club level to do that. But so you need to understand the importance of having a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're not going to know when you get there if you've gone to the right place or the wrong place. You're not going to know where to get focused. We need, it's like Yogi Berra. You're going to get to the fork in the road, take it.
Take it.
You don't know which fork you're going to take. So again, we really need to do that. And I know Franco just had a comment come up, is that We can't be always internally focused. And he's absolutely right. We need to get our boots out into the community and ask the hard questions on where the real deep needs are. And the other thing is, together, we can go a lot further. Together, we can have a heck of a lot more impact on our community if we start to work together. There's some great initiatives happening in Red Deer with the all presidents there meeting and doing some great things and getting some plans together. And out of that came that mental health kind of sessions that we had. Out of the Calvary region, there's the community service groups are starting to work together and understand who's doing things together. So we it's not a matter if we develop a plan, we need to have a plan.
Cool.
Next slide.
So this really, what we're talking about, what Dan's talking about, what we're all talking about here is marrying together the passions and interests, skills, and that our members have, and that those prospective members have, and synthesizing that in a way that will be a benefit to our community and to each other as well. In this, the slide package that you're going to be sent includes some slides that Dan and I have not addressed, but there's some other resources in there as well as the resource center at rotary.org. So that's the end of this, but who are you going to call? So, the difference between what we do and what we are capable of could solve most of the problems in the world. So let's get at it. Let's pay attention to our people. Let's pay attention to their projects, and don't allow this to be, don't just keep this under the bushel basket. So here you've got Dan's contact information. Dan's the assistant Rotary coordinator now for Zone 29. Here you've got my contact information as well. So we're just two of the team, which includes all of the district governor team as well, that is ready, willing, and able to provide any help that any of you in the club want to take advantage of to make Rotary stronger. So Dan, what have we got for questions?
I see Franco's got one. Is it about membership or about big goals? Would you agree if we change a cause or an issue is more likely to attract members? With membership, we can achieve some goals. So I think we need to understand that we're going to drive successful programs and engagement in the community if we have a healthy membership. So I always start with our members. And one of the things that I think is incredibly important, and again, the reason that people left Rotary before was that they didn't feel that they had a voice within their clubs. They didn't feel that they had the ability to bring forward projects and to have those projects supported. And I'm a real believer that we need to listen to our membership as well. And when there's a champion within our club, we need to be able to support them and find ways to support them. How often have you heard, well, we don't do that in our club, or that's not the way we do it, or that type of thing. But if we could say, oh, what a great idea. Let's figure out how we can do it. Yeah, you know what? We don't have the money that we had before. A lot of us have lost our fundraisers, but that doesn't mean that we can't raise the funds different ways. So let's treat the problems as opportunities for change. Let's treat the problems as an opportunity to start to drive forward and create the Rotary that we want to be.
Move to yes and.
Let's move to
yes, but. Wow, no, that's a great idea. I have no doggone idea how we're going to accomplish that. Let's get our heads together and figure this thing out.
Wow, what a question. What's in it for the individual member in the Rotary value proposition? You know what? If we don't listen to our individual member, there's nothing for them. If we listen to our member and we support our membership and we understand where their needs, their anxieties, their issues are, even within our own club, and we work towards solving it, You know, we had a great session last week, I believe, on the vulnerable sector thing. And it was really interesting to listen to a lot of the questions and see a lot of the questions. They revolved around bullying within their own club. You see, for too long, we as Rotarians have been silent in allowing things to happen because, oh, that's the way Joe always is. What the heck, you know, go away. No, that's not okay. We need to step forward, and all of us as leaders need to step forward. If we see something inappropriate in there, let's get rid of it. We need to follow. The four-way test has been an amazing tool for us for a number of years as Rotary. You know what? I've actually used it in my business to keep my business alive and work with my negotiations with other people and other suppliers and customers. And you know what? If we can do that, if we can live our four-way test inside our own clubs, we're going to be a lot further ahead. So what's in it for an individual? There's lots in it for an individual if we respect them for who they are and what their differences are. Build on that. Build on what their values and their passions are. And we're going to have a lot stronger program than we will before.
I'll just maybe add one more thing to that too, and that is that one of the biggest things that I think differentiates Rotary from other community organizations and service clubs is our ability and dedication to developing leaders within each club that can go out and then take that leadership into their other communities, be it their local communities, their faith communities, the business communities, as Dan has alluded to as well. And one of the keys, one of the ingredients to this, I think, going forward will be our collaboration with the public speaking people, the Toastmasters as well. So developing that leadership so that I mean, that's what's in it for us. Every one of us has got the ability to become better leaders and therefore more significant members of our community.
So it's really interesting when we listen to the members and I look at the survey and where our members say they would like to have our priority to be. 73% of it said that we should be focusing on that part of our society that has an inability to meet their basic needs. We need to be part of this poverty eradication. We need to be starting to pull on those levers of change. We as a group need to recognize that this whole pandemic has actually broadened the gap between us and a lot of the marginalized communities that we have in our district and in our province. So, and our membership is understanding that and saying we need to get a focus on that. So it's going to be up to each of our clubs to say, what does that mean in our own community? What does that mean in Medicine Hat? What does that mean in Calgary? What does that mean in Red Deer?
Well, here's an example of what we did. My club did this year. We had, can't remember what it was, $5,000 budgeted for the president-elect to go to Hawaii for the Rotary International Convention. It's not going to cost $5,000 to hook up on the Zoom meeting now. So we took that $5,000 and gave it to the food bank, the Mustard Seed Child Advocacy Center, I think maybe one other as well. So just an example, I think, of exactly what Dan's talking about here.
There are no other open questions outstanding.
Cool.
We're here for you. If you've got anything outside of this, we're here. You will be getting an email from me if asking again to just update us again on the survey if you haven't done it. We're going to start to use this information to help our clubs drive their plans. The one thing that Linda had in there, I mean, that putting your stuff in Club Central, what an amazing way to make you as club leadership accountable to your members every week, every month, every quarter, to let them know where you're at with your plans, right? We always say that, oh, we do a district plan or a club plan sits on a shelf. Oh, yeah, it does sit on a shelf unless we bring it up. The healthiest clubs report on their progress all the time on what it is, how they're doing. So please, you know, make sure that you get on Club Central. If you know how to do it, we're here. We're here to help you do it.
Being in, just my last comment, being in the know for Rotarians, knowing what the heck's going on in their club, what the board is doing, where these where our projects are at. Being in the know is one of the keys to retention. So vital. When Rotarians don't know what's going on, they'll assume the worst or assume nothing, and they're out the door.
Thank you, gentlemen. Your
Get out there.
experience at within your own clubs and within the district and within the Rotary world is invaluable, and it was a great presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary, are you ready to start?
I am. Thanks, Dave. And we're moving along. I see that we're ahead of schedule, so that's great. I can see some sunshine out of my window, so maybe the gloomy morning is going to turn into a bright and sunny afternoon, so that's awesome. Just wanted to tell you all a little bit about what I learned at the International Assembly. And for those of you who have not yet become district governors, not yet, but you never know, this is a one-week training opportunity that happens every year. It's typically held in January, and it is for all incoming district governors and their spouses across the Rotary world. So imagine 500 plus incoming district governors and their spouses gathering at a hotel for 1 week to learn together multi-languages, multi-cultures, you know, just a huge diversity of amazing, passionate Rotarians together in one place. So that's what the International Assembly basically is. It's a one-week training. This last January for myself, it was held in San Diego. And I just wanted to bring you a few short slides of what I learned and what I experienced and what I'd like to share with you as we turn over into the new year in 39 days. So here's the Canadian contingent. We're all dressed in our Canadian bling, be it our red and black plaid or whatever, our red and white. And look who's photobombing our quick impromptu photo. None other than our incoming Rotary International President, Holger Knack, and his wife, Suzanne. They just happened to be walking by as we took this quick photo and had to jump in to join us. Tells you a little bit about the guy. He's an amazing leader. He's an amazing, personable individual. He's the guy that stays on the dance floor till 2 o'clock in the morning because he's just so much fun and wants to learn about everybody and develop a relationship with you. Holger and his wife Suzanne have hosted 43 exchange students in their home as Rotarians. So just an amazing couple. They're very passionate about youth, and obviously having had 43 exchange students in their home, just an incredible couple. So Holger, he started the week off saying that 14 years ago, he was a district governor coming into the role, and he was nervous and excited about the possibilities ahead of us. And again, this year in January, nothing had changed. He was right back in the saddle again, feeling all of those nerves and anxiety and excitement as all of us as incoming leaders are experiencing. And you know, it doesn't matter what role you have in Rotary. I think with the beginning of a new year, we all get those butterflies in our stomachs. And it's exciting. I mean, it's good to have butterflies. If you didn't, I'd be worried. So we're all in this together, and it was just a really neat way to start the week. You can go to the next slide, please. So Holger's RI strategic plan, I just wanted to go over this a little bit. He's very passionate about increasing our impact and finding projects that have a big impact, and obviously those projects that have that Rotary name on them. He said, you know, young members of our organization are all about tracking change, and they do it by the numbers. So they want to measure the impact. And so the bigger projects are the kinds of things that typically our younger members are gravitating towards. He wants us to expand our reach, to find members that are a good fit and not a fill. I mentioned that earlier this morning. Look at new club models. I know Rhea was talking to us earlier about the whole satellite club idea that Cochrane has adopted this year. There's lots of different club models that are coming out these days. One that really drew my attention, and I know in our district we've got lots of young folks that are starting their families. And these people typically have very little time for Rotary because they're so busy with new businesses, with young families, with lack of sleep, you name it. We've all been there, or most of us have been there. Why not have a Rotary club that's focused on the family? Why not have a cause-based club that meets in the park with kids at picnic tables, and maybe that's their focus? Maybe their focus is on daycare support and you know, new moms and new dads support, and that's their Rotary focus. And maybe they don't have a big budget, but they could be Rotarians. I mean, there's no reason why we can't explore new ways of creating new club models that embrace people with Rotary hearts that aren't yet Rotarians. So expanding our reach is a really good way to think creatively about the opportunities that we have. Enhancing participation and engagement. Ask Rotaractors and Rotarians what they want from their Rotary journey. And this goes back to some of the things that we've talked about this morning. Find out what people are all about. Find out why they're interested in Rotary, and then make that their passion and make that what happens in their lives. Often folks we're working alongside of aren't Rotarians yet. And that's okay, because, you know, we need to show them the value proposition of becoming a Rotarian. I think it's great to engage with other service clubs, with other people in our community, with other organizations, and be proud to wear your Rotary pin and to explain your Rotary journey and the value proposition that you have as a Rotarian. And I think that'll go a long way to showing others what we're doing, boots on the ground work and activities to see others join Rotary. Increasing our ability to adapt. Well, let's face it, in January when I was at the International Assembly, we had a little bit of an inkling that COVID-19 was coming our way, but we really had no idea. And look at what's happened now. The opportunities for Rotarians to adapt is stronger than ever. Holgar focused on being adaptable to provide for more women in leadership positions, to embrace technology and diversity, to increase connectivity with each other, and to encourage younger leaders in Rotary positions. You know, we all balance family and work and retirement. I mean, honestly, some of the busiest people are the folks that are retired, and they're the hardest people to keep track of and to nail down because they're so busy doing all of the things that they're passionate about. But I think that we need to look at opportunities to provide for leadership and technology and diversity to be a part of everything that we think, say, and do. And I think it's a great time to be a Rotarian. Next slide, please. So Holgar was talking about Rotary, and he said that through Rotary we're given lots of opportunities to live richer and more meaningful lives with others around the world who share our core values. And honestly, when you're sitting in an auditorium with 500 people from around the world, that's not a truer statement to make. Through Rotary we're given opportunities to help others. That's certainly the case. And through our actions, Rotary opens opportunities to grow Rotary. How many times have we had a quick 30-second elevator conversation that opens up an opportunity that you've never even dreamt could be a possibility? And he says that we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have fun and to make dreams come true. So now is our time, now is our opportunity to dig deep and to look for those opportunities that are through those Rotary doors, and to walk through the doors and to grab hold of them and make them a reality. Next slide, please. So Dave, this is the video of Holgar. It might be a little bit shaky. My husband took it when we were in San Diego, so if it's not complete professional quality, I'll add that little caveat to it. But I'm gonna see if you're able to make the technology work whereby we're able to listen to Holgar announce the new theme for the year.
I'm gonna see what I can do here. Just a minute. Just a minute here. I need to share my screen. And I have that, but I need to.
I wonder if we can make the video work.
Yeah, just a minute here. I've got it here. It's just a question of how do I show it to you?
We all have to jump into your living room in Medicine Hat.
You might have to, yes.
Dave,
exactly.
can you go directly to the video file, the MP4?
Yeah, that's what I'm just gonna try that here.
In the meantime, Mary, Rhea Graham asked if your highlights, your RI highlights, could be streamed or placed somewhere on the district website.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could maybe put that on the People of Action site. Maybe that would be a good place to add it.
Sure. And another question, and it could be for after the video, but Franco asked if somebody could talk about the new strategic alliance or the Toastmaster Rotary partnership at some point.
Okay.
Okay, do you see the video on the screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
So Toastmasters has come on board with Rotarians. They're very aligned with what our clubs are like. Typically, there's Toastmaster clubs in just about every community across our district. And they're more than happy to have us join into their club meetings and visit their clubs and take any of their courses too. So that's an opportunity.
We see your desktop now, Dave. Sorry,
Oh,
Mary.
good. Well, we're getting there. Sorry about this.
Oh, no, that's okay.
There it is. It's on. Volume.
You have to go to the top of your screen, and you have to have under your view option or under the options there, it'll tell you that you share your sound.
Are you ready to vote now?
I think I hear him, Dave. It's just really low.
Really low. It's really
Yeah.
low.
There's an option at the top that will allow you to share computer sound.
It's getting better.
We are planned to take on leadership roles at this wonderful moment of our organization.
Yeah, it's coming through very faintly.
Opens another opportunity for someone somewhere. And therefore, the theme of our year is Rotary opens opportunities.
Okay. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rotary opens opportunities. That is the theme of next year's Rotary year. Those three doors in the background are different colored doors. They're all in our Rotary colors. And basically, Holgar is talking about Rotary opening opportunities for all of us to explore options to grow Rotary in our communities, in our districts, and around the world. So I wonder if we can just show that one last slide there, Dave.
Okay, I'm going to
And we'll just wrap this up.
share my screen again. I think this is the one you want.
The next one, please. So there's our three Rotary doors. And then there's one, there we go, thank you.
Okay.
So our incoming president, Holgar Knack, is asking Rotarians to explore opportunities to look at new club models in the family of Rotary, including Rotaract and Interact. And you know what? In our district, we have a club of early actors, and they're working with the Calgary Heritage Park Club. And they're a bunch of grade 5 and 6 kids, and they're just amazing young leaders. So I think we need to really expand our focus and look at incorporating our Early Act, Interact, and Rotaract into our family of Rotary. Just incredible young talent that can bring a lot of life and energy to our current club models. So he wants us to look at new club models. He wants us to look at having one strategic meeting a year in our club to ask where you want to be in 5 years and what value do you bring to your members. And that's something that we've talked about a little bit this morning. You know, where are you today and where are you going? Select your new club members carefully and take care of them. Treat them like your new best friends. I mean, honestly, when we have a new best friend and we want them to stay our friends forever, we put lots of extra effort into making sure that they feel comfortable, welcome, and well supported. So when you're finding those new club members, don't abandon them. Don't give them the Rotary jargon and the acronyms. Make sure that they're supported and a part of the team right from the get-go, and they're kept as close to your heart as you can possibly keep them. The last thing that Holgar mentioned that is incredibly important to us as Rotarians is to support our efforts to end polio. We all know that we're so close to ending polio. And you know what's really a cool thing that I was reminded of when we were in San Diego is that it's going to be us, it's going to be our lifetime as Rotarians when we see polio eradicated off the face of this globe. And how is Rotary going to be set up to be recognized as the worldwide service organization that has eradicated polio off the face of the earth? I want you to think about that because it's not going to be that much longer until we achieve this huge goal internationally and globally. So as Rotarians, I think we need to start thinking about how are we going to respond to that huge celebration and where are we going to go next? What's going to be our next project as a global effort? Right now, we need to finish this task to end polio, but it won't be that much longer when we need to start thinking about where we're going to next. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to finish by saying we're 39 days away from launching our new Rotary year. You now know what our new Rotary year slogan is. For all the presidents-elect on the call this morning, I will be starting my phone calls on Monday. I'm going to start calling each and every one of you to make arrangements to send you the banners and the pins for your club and to start making arrangements for my virtual visits starting after the 1st of July. So I look forward to those conversations with each of you. Please be patient with me. I do have a lot of folks to call and I will work through that list as I'm able, but starting on Monday, that's my new focus is to get all of our club presidents ready for their Rotary year. As Holgar has introduced us, he says Rotary is opening opportunities And together we are going to be leading the way with our family of Rotary. And who knows where we're going to take this, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an amazing journey. And I thank you all, each and every one, for your hard work, for the work you do for Rotary, for your participation in today's program. I really appreciate you being here and participating in our experiment. I think it's gone really well. Rick, I want to thank you for all your hard work in putting this together, to our panelists for all of your hard work, and to everyone on the call. This is a team effort, and I'm so thrilled to be part of this team. Thank you. Any questions?
The only one, I just wasn't sure if you wanted to comment further on the Toastmaster Rotary partnership, or are we okay with that?
I think we're okay with that. We could certainly put something on the People of Action site. Perhaps that's a place where we could dig deeper into that conversation and provide more feedback on how to get involved with Toastmasters as Rotarians. I'll make a note.
Sure, I think that's a good idea.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mary, and look forward to an exciting year with you at the helm. I'm going to turn it over to Dan Kammerer, who has a couple of housekeeping items and things about what's next.
Thanks, Dave. Just a few things to wrap up. You can go to the first slide whenever you're ready. So if you haven't already done so, you know, Mary's given you the heads up that the call will be coming. But please ensure the members of your leadership team have a My Rotary account and complete your assigned Learning Center modules. Review and share the 3-year district leadership planning calendar. It has lots of good information. It's you know, I like to have the time so far ahead put in my calendar and to work around, and so that's a really good tool, and it'll be shared as well. Update your club's 2021 leadership info and club runner if you haven't already done so. Continue working together on your club's goals. Enter your club's goals into Rotary Club Central. Linda gave us some, you know, really good tips and tricks on how to do that. It is relatively intuitive. I found that you can work your way through it, and we can go from there. Register and participate in the club leadership team training webinar number 2. It's on Friday, June the 5th. I know emails have been coming from Rick regularly. I think I have a separate Rick folder now because the last few days have been filling up with Rick stuff. So, and just while I'm at that, senior executive producer Rick Eisted for District 53760 webinars did an awesome job in putting this together today, making sure we had all the information we needed, making sure that everyone knew what their roles was and knew what their roles were, and it worked great. So I know there were some other people that mentioned it, but thanks, Rick, for everything you did to put this together. So if you haven't already done so, register for Rotary Crushes the Curve. It's the District 5360 conference, Saturday, June 6th. I think 1 to 4 is the conference itself with a couple of great speakers and panels. And then, of course, the social part of the event, which will be from 4 to 5, which Christine has been planning on for many months, I think now. There'll be, you know, I don't know what exactly it will be, but I heard Screech and Fish will be involved. So stay connected with your Rotary family, your members, other clubs, and your district leadership. Being connected is often what we do best, and it's what people look forward to the best. So stay connected with your community, stay connected with your clubs, and stay safe. I think that's it, and I'm not sure if who it's going to now. So.
Well, I think from a closing remarks perspective, I'm going to turn it over to Mary if she has any. But I think thanks to everybody for taking part in this experiment. It seems to have gone reasonably well, other than my video fumble. But thank you. It's amazing, as Mary mentioned, how technology has helped fill a gap for Rotary here in the last few months.
Thanks, Dave. I do just see a note on the chat line from our current district governor, Christine. She's indicating that the Toastmasters Rotary Alliance is located on the peopleofaction.ca site under the news and resources. So it's already there, so we can take a look at that for anyone who's interested in following up on those Toastmasters courses and programs. Certainly a good idea. I think I'm going to be doing that myself, as I can try to improve my public speaking and my presentation skills, especially as that's going to be important coming into this next Rotary year. So great opportunity for us there. Let's face it, Rotary opens opportunities. What a more timely slogan. It's just amazing how the right doors open for the right opportunities, and this COVID-19 thing is certainly giving us lots of opportunities to expand our resources and increase our skill set. And really appreciate again all of the hard work that went in today. I would consider this experiment a great success, and look forward to many more in the future. Certainly looking forward to seeing each of you face to face and shaking your hand and giving you a Rotary hug. But in the meantime, thrilled to have this opportunity to see your faces and be together. So thanks again for everyone.
Okay.
Have a great
Thank you.
day.
Take care.
Take care. Bye for now.
I know, everybody.
Take care, guys.
Great weekend.